Welcome to the Author Show, where we present new authors and books. From fiction to self-help and everything in between, you'll find it all here. To watch the TV version of our program, visit authorswebtv.com. That's authorswebtv.com. And now, let the show begin.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming to the program author Dana Lyons, and Dana is the author of A Love Reborn. Dana began writing in 2003 and is published in romance at Black Lion Publishing with Heart of the Drua, a time travel romance, and A Love Reborn, also paranormal romance. Her two latest books are contracted at Black Lion to open a new line, Adventure Romance, with The Rosetta Coin out in December. The sequel will follow in the spring of 2014. Dana, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Don, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start with a big question. Tell us about this book, please.
A Love Reborn is a modern tale of ancient love, magic, and betrayal. We have three main characters who have complicated relationships in an ancient life in the past. Someone gets murdered, and the wheels of time and reincarnation with destiny and karma bring these old souls back together again for a replay of events.
Now, who did you write this book for specifically?
Well, Don, I wrote A Love Reborn for those people who think we are capable of more than what we're doing, that humanity has a spark within that is a touch of the divinity, and that we are capable of so much more than just the sum of our basic elements.
Now, would you say there's any type of central message or perhaps underlying theme that runs throughout the book?
Yes, there was a wonderful theme that kept being shown to me for my readers, for my characters, and for myself, and that is that all things come when the time is right.
If you could compare this book with any book out there we might already be familiar with, which book would it be and why?
That would be 50 Shades of Grey, Dawn. I haven't read the book myself, but many of my readers have compared A Love Reborn to 50 Shades of Grey because of the sensual nature that I explore in A Love Reborn.
So what gave you the idea for this book?
Well, I love reincarnation. I think it's a fascinating subject, and I have had some experience with exploring past lives myself. And then I heard a wonderful story about a reincarnation case that came out of, began in Britain with a wonderful lady named Dorothy Eady. As a child, she had a near-death experience, and this was early in the 1900s. She came back from that experience a changed person with a new persona. And she suddenly was, even as a child, an expert in Egyptian lore and culture. And she ended up spending her life dedicated to Egypt. She went to Egypt, married an Egyptian man, had a child, but she gravitated towards the temple of Abydos, which was the temple of Seti I. And she made it very clear in her story that has been well documented that she is reincarnated. She was reincarnated from a soul that was a lover of Seti back in the time of that Egyptian dynasty. And she dedicated herself to maintaining Abydos, where her life was with her lover from a previous life. And she was very clear to say that she still had a physical relationship with Seti, that he would come and visit her in his astral form, that they would share physical energy, and then after that they would have a consensual physical relationship. And so that is what fed the sensual nature of what I use from her lifetime in A Love Reborn.
Are any of the characters in the book based on real people?
Not based specifically, but I certainly have a lot of threads of Seti, the woman I just spoke of, Dorothy Eady. She definitely influenced me in the formation of my female lead character.
Referring to karma, which character had the most to lose here?
Well, karma is an energy in motion, that is for sure. Negative energy begets negative energy. So without giving away too much, we do have one character who is motivated by a great deal of anger which came out of greed. Without saying any more, there is someone with a whole lot to lose, and, well, I think that's where I'm going to have to leave it.
Tell us about the location and how you chose that location.
The location for the archaeological aspect of A Love Reborn, that location is an actual location of a previous archaeological dig. It's called Gebel Oanat, and it's right there in the corner where Libya, the Sudan, and Egypt all come together in that corner. There are a lot of petroglyphs there. There's archaeological history there that supports a culture who lived there prior to moving to the Nile area and becoming the Egyptians. So it's a good base for pre-Egyptian culture.
Is there a relationship between reality and the fictional location?
Well, as I said, it is the actual location of where these people used to live. But I will tell you a funny thing that happened when I was writing this story. My characters, at some point in the book, they go from the States and they land in Cairo. And from there, a few days later in the book, they go to Libya, where the actual dig site is in my book, A Love Reborn. So this was about 3 years ago when I wrote this, I believe, and it was right at the time of the Arab Spring. And if we all recall that excitement that came up in that culture at that time over in the Mideast, the day my characters landed in Cairo was the day Arab Spring erupted in Cairo, and the day that my characters that I'm writing in my writing process, like a few days later, when my characters landed in Libya, Libya exploded with Arab Spring as well. So it was a little synchronistic seeming, and it was kind of eerie.
How did the location affect the emotional content of the story?
The major location is, of course, based on Gebel Oanat, but it's a fictional tomb, a temple. And it is a place where a lot of activity between these characters occurred. And it is a place where a great deal of emotion, which is scientifically speaking energy in motion, a lot of emotion is in this particular temple. And when it was closed up for all those millennia, the energy is still there. So when they return, as with energy returning to its origin, and they return to the source, this location, and the source of all this emotional energy, they are all impacted. They are all memories and thoughts and emotions to deal with for each character as they go through this temple, this archaeological site.
How much of this is fiction and how much is drawn from your life?
In all of my books, I like to mention something called the Monroe Institute and Silva Mind Control. These are what I call gateways into opening the window to exploring what humanity is capable of outside the box. The Monroe Institute is a real place. Robert Monroe is a forerunner in using hemisync vibrational techniques for expanding levels and exploring levels of the mind, escaping time and space, remote viewing, and things like that. And Silva Mind Control also. So my husband is a graduate of both of those programs, and so I kind of draw on that a little bit, and I make sure that all of my characters have the ability to do more with their mind than what the conscious mind does on a daily basis.
How are the sensual scenes used to advance the characters' actions?
And there we have energy and emotion again, emotion being energy in motion. The energy and the memories and the emotion that is tied into the sensual scenes, without giving too much away, are very important for driving one of the characters to recognize certain aspects of themselves that they did not believe were possible. Once again, we have an example of what today is impossible and unthinkable, tomorrow becomes standard operating procedure.
Why did you choose to use magic as an element?
Well, magic is wonderful. Magic is something everyone wants. Magic is that hidden power that my audience believes humanity is capable of and can tap into using quantum mechanics and forces of the spooky universe. Magic is, I think, like the current trend that's favorite with vampires. Vampires are invincible and they are very powerful and they have to be respected. And I think that is a reflection of what much of my audience is looking for. They want to be invincible, they want to be powerful, they want to be respected, but they want to do it without having to become a vampire or a werewolf to do it. Also, magic is a very important part of Egyptian life. I don't believe the ancient gods have disappeared from the psyche of the Egyptian people. Amulets, spells, and all such things like that are very common in Egyptian culture, even today.
Do you believe love is strong enough to really transcend time?
Absolutely, absolutely. Love again is that emotion, that energy in motion, and love is a actual physical thing that comes from your heart. When you have love in your heart produces an electromagnetic field that is an energy in motion, and that goes out into the universe, just the same as if you had a flashlight and you shined it into the sky and you turned it off and turned it on, turned it off. Same thing with your heart. And so that is an energy. As we know, energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted to other forms. So we have the energy that physically comes from your heart, and yes, I do believe it can transcend time.
Would you say that you have a specific writing style?
Tight and intriguing and fast-paced. I am a reflection of life, modern life around me, and I like things fast-paced. Otherwise, I get bored. I like it tight without any excess writing in there, and I like it intriguing about those topics that are outside of your everyday experience.
Who or what influenced your writing the most?
Oh, when I was in my 20s, it was Bertha Small. She's a great romance writer, and I think I read everything that she produced up to a certain point. Also, I like the style of Dan Brown. It's very fast-paced. I like going from tip to clue to, discovery. And so I like to write fast-paced like him. And I throw in a little Indiana Jones and National Treasure sort of thoughts in there as well, that kind of pacing.
Other than selling the work, of course, is there anything else you hope to accomplish with it?
I want people to understand they are more than what they think they are. And I think if you give them a reflection, a little echo of something that is possible outside the realm of their everyday life, you open a window for them. There are a lot of writers and people speaking now and talking about the awakening on different levels. And I believe I'm a facet of that same story, that I also want my readers to understand there is more outside of the sum of your basic elements, and it is possible for you to eclipse time and to be in two places at one time and be invulnerable to time and space, all of that. They have proven that human DNA affects photons, and that photons can be either in space or out of space. They can be two places at once, here or there. And so if human DNA can affect something that can travel through time and space without hindrance, then I think it is just a step for consciousness in our minds and our hearts to connect with our DNA and to be able to tap into that ability that has been proven by science. So I reflect where science and spirituality come together and cooperate and create new frontiers.
In your opinion, who should buy this book?
Someone who wants to believe in more, someone who wants to see more, someone who wants an opportunity to prove that they can be more than what they experience every day, someone who wants that window opened for them so they can explore outside the box and reach supernatural, reach paranormal, reach that spooky actions of the quantum universe.
Time is getting very short, so the most important question, where can we buy this book?
At Amazon.com is where you'll find me. Both of my books, Heart of the Drua and A Love Reborn. And then, of course, there will be the Rosetta coin coming out in December. I might mention that I have the screenplay written for the Rosetta coin, and I'm looking for a producer. I wrote the lead in that story for Charlize Theron, so I'm trying to figure out how to get a copy of the book to her.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
Yes, that's Dana, D-A-N-A, Lyons, L-Y-O-N-S.
Well, this has been just great. Our guest today has been Dana Lyons, and she is the author of A Love Reborn. Dana, thanks very much for being with us today.
It's my pleasure, Don. Thank you for having me.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of The Author Show. Please share this interview with your family and friends so that they too may have the opportunity to discover our guest and her work. And why not spread the word on social media? We look forward to you joining us next time for another great book and another great author on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. To contact us, call toll-free 1-877-955-8800. That's 877-955-8800. Or visit theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.